Far-right Israeli finance minister says the military is ready to occupy parts of Gaza, particularly in the north, within hours upon command. Egypt's foreign minister discusses the Palestinian cause with the OIC foreign ministers. And the US President Trump warns of cancelling the Israel-Hamas ceasefire if Gaza detainees are not returned by Saturday noon. It's 8 p.m. Cairo local time, and you're now watching Q News. This is the News Bulletin, and we start off with the latest developments in Gaza. Far-right Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich says the military is ready to occupy parts of Gaza, particularly in the north, within hours upon command. Smotrich also asserts that Gaza will eventually rejoin Israel, citing it as the only way to ensure Israeli security. He calls for cutting off electricity, water, and cancelling humanitarian aid to Gaza. Medical sources have confirmed that the death toll in the Gaza Strip has risen to 48,219 since the start of the Israeli occupation aggression on October 7, 2023. Medical sources added that the number of casualties has surged to 111,665 since the start of the aggression, while many victims remain under the rubble, with ambulance and civil defense crews unable to reach them. They confirmed that 11 Palestinians were taken to hospitals in the Gaza Strip, including 8 bodies recovered in the past 24 hours, along with 10 other injured individuals. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen have emphasized the need for full implementation of all 3 phases of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. The 2 leaders also reaffirmed the importance of establishing a Palestinian state based on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Their discussions included strengthening bilateral relations, particularly in the areas of economic cooperation, investment and renewable energy, with a focus on Egypt's green hydrogen production. They also addressed regional stability, covering issues in Lebanon, Syria, Sudan, and the security of commercial shipping in Bab el-Mandeb. Egyptian Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration Badr Abdelati has held talks with several foreign ministers from the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the OIC, member states, including Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Iran, and Jordan, to discuss developments regarding the Palestinian cause. The discussions led to an initial agreement to hold an emergency ministerial meeting of the OIC following the extraordinary Arab summit scheduled in Cairo on February 27th. The meeting aims to reaffirm the consistent Palestinian, Arab and Islamic stance on the Palestinian issue and uphold the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people, foremost among them the right to self-determination and to live in their homeland. US President Donald Trump has warned that he will propose cancelling the Israel-Hamas ceasefire and letting hell break out if all detainees held in Gaza are not returned by noon on Saturday. Earlier, Hamas threatened to delay the next scheduled detainee release, accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire agreement. Trump expressed skepticism about whether many of the detainees are still alive, stating that he believes a significant number may have already died.
I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4.
Jordanian King Abdullah II stressed on the importance of the United States' pivotal role in supporting peace efforts. The Jordanian King's statements came during his meeting with U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz in Washington. The king called for the necessity of achieving a just and comprehensive peace based on the two-state solution, reiterating his country's firm stance on the Palestinian issue. Last Sunday, the Jordanian king began a working visit to the U.S. and is scheduled to meet, and has already met with U.S. President Donald Trump. U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that under his proposal to redevelop the Gaza Strip, Palestinians would not have the right to return. When asked if Palestinians could return to Gaza, Trump responded that they would not be allowed, as they would have access to much better housing. He also noted that it would take years for Gaza to be habitable again. In a surprising announcement on February 4th, following a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington, Trump proposed resettling Gaza's 2.2 million residents and having the U.S. take control of the enclave, transforming it into the Riviera of the Middle East.
It's a demolition site. It's a pure demolition site. If we could find the right piece of land or numerous pieces of land.
And for more on this story, we now move to Hela in the newsroom. Hela.
Thank you very much, Hani. And for further analysis, we're now joined from Cairo by Mr. Khalid Dawood, Al Ahram Weekly Managing Editor. Welcome to Qnews, sir. And we have just seen regional peace efforts.
Well, thanks for having me, Hala. I just watched the remarks that were made by the U.S. President King Abdullah a short while ago, while receiving him at the White House. Unfortunately, Trump continued to dig into his bizarre suggestion of moving over 2 million Palestinians from the Gaza Strip to Jordan and Egypt, while continuing to provide some very confusing and contradicting details on what exactly does that mean. I mean, only yesterday he was making statements saying directly, we're going to own Gaza. And then today, while sitting next to King Abdullah, said, no, we're not going to buy anything. There's nothing to buy. And
does this suggest, Mr. Dawood, that he will take it by force?
Well, when one reporter asked him under what authority, because that's again one of the the strangest thing about Mr. Trump's proposal, when he continues saying, I want to run Gaza, I want to own Gaza, I want to buy Gaza. And the reporter asked him, under what authority you're going to do this? And he simply answered back, under U.S. authority. I mean, again, it was definitely rather embarrassing for the Jordanian king to sit next to the U.S. president, listening to those kinds of details that contradict the entire pillars of the peace process that started more than 30 years ago, which is based on the fact that Palestine is occupied territories, Gaza, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the solution that the international community under U.S. sponsorship is a two-state solution. Israel's withdrawal from those occupied territories, nothing at all about forcibly deporting the Palestinians. And again, I think the Jordanian king, of course, had to be diplomatic, sitting next to the U.S. president, and he did not provide an answer to all the questions on his position on that plan, saying that Egypt, along with other Arab countries as well as European nations, will provide the United States with an answer. He noted that there's going to be some sort of meeting between Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia in Riyadh pretty soon to answer back this U.S. plan. You know that there is going to be an Arab summit here in Cairo, October 27, in a matter of like less than 3 weeks. So probably, I mean, the king avoided answering or approving. He did not at all approve those proposals made by Trump, but he said that there's going to be a collective Arab response that's going to be delivered to the United States about this plan that threatens the entire, not just the ceasefire agreement that was recently signed, but it's threatened the entire region with creating tremendous instability, particularly for Jordan, for Egypt. Everybody knows how complicated the situation in Jordan. It cannot take at all any more refugees or placing them in some slot of land. But at the same time as well, I mean, maybe we saw a kind of a retreat from the U.S. president again compared to yesterday when he was asked whether he's going to use economic assistance to Egypt and Jordan as a leverage to make them accept the 2 million Palestinian refugees. Yesterday he said maybe we may look into this, but today, when sitting next to King Abdullah of Jordan, he said, no, we don't need to resort to this. We do give the two countries a lot of money, but we think we are above that we can work and cooperate together. But again, I mean, it's very difficult to understand Mr. Trump's reaction to Arab rejection, widespread rejection, not just Arab and international rejection of his plan, by continuing to say, no, the Palestinians will welcome moving. They will be very happy to move. And when reporters repeatedly asked him, the Palestinians do not want to move out, he ignored answering that kind of question and saying, no, Gaza is a place of destruction, place of war, nobody can live there. Ignoring actually who caused all this. You know, I mean, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his former defense minister Yoav Gallant, are officially accused by the International Criminal Court of committing war crimes inside
And
Gaza. This
genocide.
destruction, this death is caused by Israel and not caused by an earthquake. And this is something, of course, Trump totally ignores.
Exactly. So we have just seen this meeting, and as you said, Mr. Dawood sending mixed messages. But how could King Abdullah II's meeting with Trump shape the involvement of the United States in the Middle East peace efforts?
I think it's very important for the U.S. president to listen directly to Arab leaders. I mean, it's very good that he met today with Jordan's King Abdullah. He's been a long-standing friend for the United States. Jordan has always been a key ally for the United States over decades. So he's going to give him an honest opinion and reflection of the Arab point of view concerning his plan. There are also direct talks between Egypt and the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the U.S. President. They spoke over the phone. There are like repeated connection already. The Egyptian Foreign Minister, Mr. Badr Abdel Ati, is in Washington. He met yesterday with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Rubio himself is going to be coming to the region by the end of this week. He's going to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and to meet and to Israel to meet with those U.S. allies. I'm noting particularly the Arab nations to listen to their point of view. So hopefully, listening to all those like opinions and stands by all those Arab countries who are going to be directly affected by this irresponsible and outlandish plan by Mr. Trump that is going to make hopefully some sort of change. Although, I mean, all the signs be honest, do not look good. I mean, even if Mr. Trump walks back a little bit on his plan for Gaza, I mean, again, there were some worrying statements he made today about the future of the West Bank, the annexation, the Israeli insistence on annexing parts of the West Bank, and he said that this is going to work out fine without clarifying what exactly this means when Benjamin Netanyahu was in the United States in
Works fine
Washington.
for who? Works fine for which party?
Considering Mr. Trump's stand and his point of view and his kind of extreme bias to Israel, of course, he means it's going to work fine for Israel. I mean, he's already. Let's not forget that Mr. Trump was a president for the United States between 2017 and 2021, early 2021, and during that period, he did present a plan called Peace for Prosperity, which included Israel annexing parts of the West Bank and promising some very sort of unconnected Palestinian state. So, I mean, already there is a willingness and acceptance by the U.S. administration for the annexation of territories by Israel in the West Bank. And I'm very worried and concerned about a possible official U.S. position declared by President Trump that he's going to approve that kind of annexation after he has already approved during his first term the recognition of occupied East Jerusalem as Israel's capital. So again, and one final point, if I might refer to Hala, his statements today further complicate the shaky ceasefire that's existing in Gaza. You already know, of course, about Hamas' statement yesterday saying that they are going to postpone the release of hostages next Saturday. And then that was followed by a very strange threat that even the Israelis did not make by Mr. Trump, saying all the hostages have to be released on Saturday and not just according to the schedule that was agreed by his own personal envoy.
Yes. Well, from Cairo, that was Mr. Khalid Dawood, Al Ahram Weekly Managing Editor. Thank you very much for joining us here on Q News. Now we go back again to you, Hani, in the studio to resume our bulletin.
Thank you, Hela. Well, actually, that brings us to the end of our news bulletin for now, but here are the main stories we've been covering today. Far-right Israeli finance minister says the military is ready to occupy parts of Gaza, particularly in the north, within hours upon command. Egypt's foreign minister discusses the Palestinian cause with the OIC foreign ministers. And US President Trump warns of cancelling the Israel-Hamas ceasefire if Gaza detainees are not returned by Saturday noon. That concludes our news bulletin for now, but please don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at QNewsEGY to stay informed. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more updates here on Q News.